Good evening. That was some absolutely beautiful singing. You guys must have some phenomenal organists here to lead you through that. Honestly, it was beautiful. Now, I bet you're really wondering why we're all singing Away in the Manger when we're smack dab right here in the middle of Lent. Well, I tell you, that song, Away in a Manger, takes me back to a point in time. My name is Benjamin, and I'm from Bethlehem. My whole family's from Bethlehem. That song itself takes me back to when I was 10 years old. Now here's the deal. My dad, he was the infamous Innkeeper. Dun, dun, dun. Now, I know you've all heard stories about the infamous Innkeeper. I know you've heard a lot of them. But I'm here to tell you, my dad wasn't a bad guy. He really wasn't. That inn was our home. And that's where I grew up with my brother and my two sisters. Now, my dad and I, we were a lot alike, but yet we were a lot different. For as much as we were alike, we were different. So you know that old saying, when the olive falls from the tree, it doesn't fall that far? Well, put it this way, mine rolled a little bit after it fell. But like I said, for as much as we were different, we were a lot alike. And I just mean that in a mischievous way. If there was mischief to be found or trouble to be found, I would do it. And Mom and Dad would try everything to keep me on the straight and narrow. And they did. They did a good job. I turned out okay. But that Bethlehem Inn was our home. And I have to paint a visual here for you that when you walk down the main street of Rochester and you see the DoubleTree and you see the Kaler, that's not what Bethlehem was like. These were our homes, and we lived there, and we had extra rooms, and occasionally family would come and stay, and they would stay in, I guess, what we would call the inn. Now, to even paint that picture a little bit better for you, we lived kind of above, and down below was where we kept the animals in the evening for their safety. Kind of like a medieval tuck-under garage, I guess, something like that. My dad was also very wise. He always told me, when the Lord gives you resources, don't waste those. So in addition to keeping those animals safe, we would put them down there because heat rises. And it worked. It kept us warm at night. Now, in my mischievous ways, what else rises? Yes, go to the second verse of what you just sang. The cattle are lowing. I'm telling you, they do a lot more than lowing. They really do. So if you were thinking I was the resident pooper scooper, right here, because of all my mischief and little endeavors, that was my full-time job. And every once in a while that aroma would come up and I knew it was time to get there and get the job done, which I did. I did it well. My dad, though, he was a very private man, kept his feelings pretty close to his chest, never talked about it much, especially his political feelings. And then one day, the word started to travel around that this governor of Syria, Quirinius, something like that, I've heard him called worse because my dad called him a muckety-muck or something like that, decided that he was going to do this census and make everybody come back to their hometowns and register so he could collect taxes. And it caused quite the uproar. It fired my dad up pretty good. I don't know what this guy's motivation was. Maybe he wanted to make Syria great again or something like that. I don't know. But the problem was there was such a stirring and people were everywhere and going nuts. It really caused a mess. And then Dad told me, not only a mess in the land, but we've had relatives come here and there, but now we're going to have a lot of relatives coming. So truly, the inn now was going to be full. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. So I don't know about in your family when you had visitors and stuff, but Mom started to stress a little bit. The brother and sisters, they tried to help, but it created havoc in the home. I helped out where I could, and we made do. But then the guests started to arrive. And boy, did they arrive. It was one after another, after another, after another, and they never stopped coming. I didn't realize we had so many relatives. They just kept coming. It got to the point where you couldn't even turn around in that house. There was a stinking relative, a house guest, anywhere you looked. Now, this is where it really turned a corner for me. I found myself going down below to be with the animals. It got to the point there was so much bickering, hollering, snoring, chewing with your mouth full. There was no peace and quiet anywhere up there. I honestly think we kind of did pave the way for the Christmas holiday. Maybe. It got to the point I did go downstairs, and I spent time with the animals, and I cleaned up. Just when I believed we were as full as we could possibly be, one more couple shows up. Now, this just wasn't any ordinary couple. I think they came the furthest out of anybody, and that's why they were so late in getting there. And I thought for sure, Dad's going to say no, send them on their way. But they were dirty, they were weary, they were tired, and guess what? Their names were Mary and Joseph, and Mary was pregnant out to here. She was so pregnant that let's put it this way. I remember my mom being pregnant with my little sister, and she was never that pregnant. She should have had that baby a month ago. And I thought for sure Dad's just going to send them on their way. No room in the inn. Just like all the stories are told. No room in the inn. But he didn't. He didn't send them away. He said, we'll make room. And I'm like, where? With the animals. I thought, oh great, that's my hideout. What am I going to do with people in my hideout now? The animals understood me. I don't need people down there. But I gave in, went down, cleaned up, and we put Mary and Joseph down in the stable with the animals. Now, truth be told, it really wasn't that bad. I kind of liked Mary and Joseph. They were nice. They were very conversational. They were not like any of the people upstairs. And Mary told me one night about this visit she had from an angel, telling her that she was going to become pregnant with a gift from God that was going to be a gift for the whole world. Now, this is where my 10-year-old age really worked for me, because I believed it. She was so convincing. My mom and dad always told me, every baby comes from God. So check off that one. Now this baby's going to be a gift for the world, and an angel delivered the news. It doesn't get any better than this. And it wasn't a day later, guess what? Mary had that baby. And everything she told me that angel had said to her was absolutely the truth. She wrapped that baby in swaddling cloths. She placed him in the manger. And you know what? He was a perfect baby. He slept. He didn't cry. I had a brother and two sisters. Those babies were brats sometimes. They spit up. They cried. They didn't sleep through the night. It was hectic. But this baby did everything a perfect baby should do. Then something else happened. Up above, everybody in the house started behaving. The bickering stopped. The chewing with your mouth open stopped. The hollering, the snoring, everything stopped because everybody upstairs now was focused on this perfect little baby. I was like, wow, this is so peaceful. I can be downstairs or I can be upstairs, and it's nice in both areas because they were focused on baby Jesus. Now all that peace and calm came to an abrupt end one night. All of a sudden there was just this pounding at our door. Woke up the whole house. I ran to the door. Dad was there. He opened the door, and there are 3 shepherds. And I'm going, no, wasn't me, wasn't my brother. Dad, the last time we got in trouble with that sheep tipping escapade, we stopped doing it. Wasn't us this time. Those shepherds were jumping, they were hollering, there was just this whole range of emotions. And guess what? By the time they caught their breath, there was another angel involved. Told them the same thing the angel told Mary. We now have a baby named Jesus born in a stable, lying in a manger, and he's here as a gift to the world. And I remember thinking, wow, a second angel encounter. When am I going to get mine? And like I said, back to being 10 years old, it made me know this was true. I believed it. The way these people told these stories with such conviction, it was so real. And I believed it. It wasn't long after that, and more things started to happen. We had, this big, glorious, beautiful star in the eastern sky. And then we had wise men come with really, really expensive gifts, like gifts fit for a king. And all the things these angels had said, I just started thinking, this is really true. This is making sense. And then one night Joseph told me he had an angel visit in a dream. I'm thinking, well, I'll settle for that too. I'd like an angel visit in a dream is fine. And he said that Mary and Jesus and him had to leave Bethlehem. Things were going to get really rough around here. I'm a rough, how so? King Herod had demanded that all baby boys be killed because the throne was threatened now. I'm like, how is the throne threatened by baby boys? And I tell you, as fast as Mary and Joseph and Jesus came into our lives, they were gone. In an instant, they were gone. Now, I'm sure you know in your lives that anytime something significant happens, you always kind of just remember it. Like, whether it's good or bad, you remember where you were, you remember what you were doing, and this whole baby Jesus thing never left my mind or my heart. I grew up, stayed in Bethlehem, my sisters got married and left, and this holy experience stuck with me. My brother and I took over the inn, stayed in the hospitality business, and I never forgot it, ever. It was some years later, quite a few years later, I couldn't even tell you when, words started to come back. News about this man named Jesus that was born in Bethlehem doing these miraculous things. He was feeding the hungry from nothing, basically. He was healing the sick. He was making the blind see, the deaf hear, the mute talk. And all of a sudden, the big one, raising people from the dead. And I thought back, that's got to be my Jesus. Has to be. Then the shocking news came that he died this horrific death on a cross, crucified for senseless crimes, absolutely senseless. And then he rose again. I believe that too. Why wouldn't I? I'd been here, the journey all the way to there. I didn't get to witness any of that. But just what I had here made that so believable. So, how do we tie all this together? I know you're expecting something profound from me. This is really simple. Simple. Go back to the inn and all the people, and I never did hear Dad say, there's no room in the inn. I think that's a myth. All I heard him say was, we're going to make room. So on your Lenten journey from here to there, just make room. You know, I did clean that stable for Jesus, and that wasn't important at all. Because he came, it wasn't pristine, it wasn't gorgeous. He came just to where I was. And it didn't matter how messed up it was, or how stressed I was, or anything. I just made room for Jesus, and that stuck with me the whole time. So, as profound or non-profound as it may be, just make room for Jesus. He came here, he died for our sins, he shed his blood, he cleaned up my messes, he can clean up your messes. Just meet him where you're at. It doesn't matter, because he doesn't judge. Simple as that. Thank you. Have a good night. Oh, and by the way, just so you know, they did miss the mark and got it all wrong. He'll leave the light on for you.